So episode one focuses on the game Calling for Wii, and I was actually pretty psyched for this game when I saw his trailer on the internet, because it seemed like a pretty good Japanese survival horror game. It's a really cool genre. Um, a lot of people are interested in it, and I am for sure, and I know that you are. So I was really looking forward to it. The game itself kind of goes into a first-person type of perspective. You use the Wii controller to, you use it like as a flashlight. You can look around with it, that kind of stuff.
It's pretty much your everything tool.
Yeah, exactly. The Wii controller, they really put a lot of motion controls in it. You use the nunchuck to move around, obviously, but the camera is completely controlled by the Wii. So is the flashlight. What was cool about it too is that you can actually turn it into a cell phone. So if you get like a phone call from the ghosts or whatever decides to call you, from the abyss, as they call it. The mnemonic abyss, right? That was kind of pretty cool. You actually had a different use for the Wii controllers, as opposed to what we normally see.
Except for that one instance where you get like 5 calls within a minute.
Yeah, that wasn't really cool. You get this phone call, and then 2 steps later, you get another phone call telling you that the ghost is another story higher coming to get you. It's just.
And then like a second later, same thing.
I know that wasn't cool at all. But overall, with the story, what I liked with it is that I found that it was pretty relatable. It was a good story. It had a lot of technological elements. It all had to do with a chat room that was said to make people disappear or kill people or whatever. And as it was cell phones, that's how you would transport. You had your cell phone that you call a special number, it brings you somewhere else completely.
That's all I found about the story that was good, because besides that, either it's too confusing, and then like 5 seconds later, everything you can predict everything in advance. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things that we weren't too sure about. Like, at the end, you figure out everything that happens and why, you're in that place and why all these characters are ghosts and all
Even
that
though
kind
you
of
can
stuff.
probably guess it.
Yeah, it's pretty predictable. Overall, it wasn't a bad story, I thought. I thought it was just, it was fun, but...
Very bland.
Yeah, it was pretty bland, I guess. What did you think about the controls?
Controls, terrible. Terrible controls.
Oh my god, they really could have done a better job with the controls. The idea that you have your Wii controller as a flashlight and the camera, way too sensitive and often unresponsive. It seems like kind of a paradox.
It's strange, because sometimes, I don't know if you noticed, when you're playing, sometimes when you're hovering over something, it'll like snap on to like a handle. When you go over it, it'll move over like 2 inches by itself, just to like snap onto the handle when you don't want to do that.
Exactly, and you think that you're actually selecting something else that's next to the door handle or whatever, and it turns out that you're opening the door again. And just to open the door, you have to flick the Wii remote, and it's a good idea, but it just doesn't work. It's way overused.
You'll try and open it, and it won't, and sometimes you'll just barely move your hand, and it'll go flying open.
Yeah, it's just every single door that you have to open, and mind you, there are a lot of doors in this game. You open them with the Wii controller, and it's kind of tedious at the end.
And there's nothing in the rooms.
Yeah, exactly.
3/4 of the rooms, there's nothing in, and often you can't get in, and when you can, there's still nothing, and there's a lot of drawers to open. Drawers and cabinets. Oh my god,
it's
ridiculous.
They're everywhere, and just to be.
They give you hope.
Yeah, they give you hope all the time. You really want to try to get further in the game, and that in this kind of genre, you'll usually find special items in those kinds of drawers, in those cabinets, so you feel inclined to open them all, and it's just a waste of time.
It's weird, because some rooms have like a million of them, which you can't open at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other rooms that have a million of them that you can open every single one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. It's so strange the way they made it. They really could have made it easier to find these items, or at least, all these open rooms and all these open doors, just, for example, close everything. Only have a few rooms open so that you're not always running and wasting time, because it just gets so frustrating in the end. Like, if you compare it to a game like Silent Hill, one of the best franchises for survival horror, you have this huge, wherever you are, a hospital, a house, anywhere that you'll be.
And there are a lot of doors.
There are a lot of doors, and 75% of them are all broken or barred or whatever, and you can't.
But your map tells you that.
Yeah, that's another problem I had with it. The map, it's not up to par for a survival horror game. It
doesn't give you any help.
Yeah, it's just a regular mold map. You can move around in it. It doesn't tell you if a door's been opened, if there's a door that's locked. It doesn't tell you.
It'll tell you if the area isn't explored.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, you'll have this unexplored area. It won't tell you if you can't get there because you need a key, because the door is broken, because you just haven't been there. So you just end up going back to it all the time, and that's probably it was pretty frustrating, to be honest. Really.
Yeah. Well, how did you like the phone?
The phone, it was a good idea. That's one of the pros I have for this game. I really like the idea that they actually made you take the Wii controller, put it up to your ear, because you actually have noise coming from the little speaker inside, and you hear this ghost telling you, whatever it is, into the Wii controller as if it was a phone. So I thought that was really cool.
Dialing the phone numbers.
Yeah, that was not good at all.
That was not, except for one instance where they made it well,
Mm-hmm.
but. You have the area code. I don't know why they even included the area code.
Yeah, because it's always the same one anyway.
Time.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a bit more realistic, but dude, no one cares.
Exactly, and I mean, just the way that they designed it, you can't use your nunchuck to control which numbers you're selecting.
No, it's only with the D-pad.
It's only with the D-pad. Not that big a deal. It's just a little bit awkward because the way you're supposed to hold the Wii controller, you don't really have access very quickly to the D-pad. No big deal. But what was really annoying is that the phone numbers are just not saved in the memory. I mean, you have to call the numbers, and you really have to remember them every time. And
or you have to go back in your memos and...
I mean, they could have, if once you find a phone number, they could have just included it maybe as a contact or as a speed dial or something like that. Make it a little bit easier for people to, to figure it out. That being said, the phone, I think it was a pretty good addition to it.
At that one moment where you have to you're so underpowered. You're being attacked by ghosts, and you have to dial the phone number and quickly get out somehow.
For me, that was probably the high point of the game. It's just kind of unfortunate that they didn't include more of those. So you're in this room, and like you said, you're supposed to dial a phone number while ghosts are attacking you, but you have to remember the phone number at the same time.
Speaking of the ghosts attacking you, the combat.
Yeah.
You waggle the remote.
That's it. There is no other sort of combat. I mean, in most games that are in the same genre, you'll have maybe you can pick up a lead pipe and hit the ghost or hit the monster, whatever it is. Even if you can't do that, it's not the end of the world. But the fact that...
But not only that, it doesn't happen very often at all.
Yeah.
And that, you get the opportunity to press A to escape quicker.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
but
it's
you can
always
just mash
the
the button. You can just mash the button and it'll work.
Mm-hmm. It's very simple. It doesn't change at all, which kind of annoyed me. I mean, when you're faced with stronger ghosts, it's the same idea. You just shake your controller and that's it. Press the A button to get away quickly.
Whether they grab you, sometimes they grab you from the foot. They could have changed it up a bit for that. Do something different besides just waggle it from side to side.
Yeah, and just the combat itself kind of shows how the difficulty was. This can be seen kind of as a pro, maybe as a con at the same time, because it was a pretty easy game to finish. What was cool about it was that, it's easy. I mean, you can fly through it in a few hours and you're done, but it sucks because it doesn't give you that much of a challenge.
You don't feel rewarded.
Exactly. You finish the game, you don't feel too rewarded. I mean, it just doesn't give you much of a satisfying feeling. But what I think that they could have done better as well is having to do with the voice acting. And you're laughing. I know you're laughing. The voice acting is just horrible. I mean, it's just so sad the way they typecasted these people in English. I don't know if it's any better in Japanese, but...
Well, okay. The main characters, not the four. The two main characters in particular that you get to play as. Mm-hmm. Well, the journalist and Rin.
Yeah.
Their voices are pretty good, pretty decent, and the ghosts at the beginning are pretty good too. But then it just gets terrible, worse and worse.
How would I know? When I woke up, I was in the school. All these ghosts are chasing me. If you try to leave the building, there's nothing outside.
Can I go back on one point for a minute?
Sure.
The doors? The doors. Okay, not only were they frequent and you could go in every one of them, remember sometimes there would be a door that you can open and it would lead to nowhere?
Yeah.
Later on, in one area, there'd be 3 in the same place.
It's like, why even have that? Just make the door inaccessible,
You can open the door. It doesn't automatically thrust you in. You're not going to walk in. You will walk in once, find out what happens.
Yeah, see what happens, exactly.
But then you won't do it again.
Exactly. So, Yeah, I mean, a lot of cons for this game. Some pros, you have the innovation with the Wii control that I found was pretty good.
The phone.
The phone. That's what I mean. The slight fear factor it gives you from time to time. There was that one section where you kind of feel powerless, which is a good, an important part of a survival horror game. But the controls.
It was the only part.
Yeah, it was the only part. But the controls of the game, I find, just killed it.
Yeah,
Killed it
pretty
completely.
much.
What do you think as final comments for this game?
Considering it's a Wii game, the graphics are okay, but the game itself is pretty bad.
Yeah,
Like, I wouldn't play through it again.
Yeah, I would definitely stay away from it. So, yeah, final verdict. Is this a buried treasure, Senny?
No, not at all.
Not at all. All right, so forget about this game. It was nice playing it, I guess, but if you see it in the bargain bin, just leave it alone and go for something else.